Well, as if Money in the Bank wasn't enough, we get a loaded Monday Night Raw this week. Welcome to Squared Circle Radio. We are on the air giving you our instant reaction to anything and everything. I mean, my goodness. We've been talking about some additional projects that we want to do to try to make sure we cover more content and all the things. That's Andy York. My name is Chris Belcher, and Andy, the hits just keep coming.
It's wild what happens week to week to week to week to where you have to watch Raw, you have to watch SmackDown, you have to watch Dynamite, you have to watch the pay-per-views. Oh, yeah, and you have to watch NXT, too, because there's a lot happening there as well. So it's another busy week. And SummerSlam is literally like 3 weeks away.
It's insane. I mean, we're on the road. We know that Gunther and Damian Priest are going face-to-face next week on Monday Night Raw. That is your World Heavyweight Championship match for now. I assume it's going to stay that way, but you just never know what's going to happen.
You don't.
So keep it locked in right here. Subscribe wherever you find your podcast. We're on all the major platforms. If you're on our YouTube channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 100 subscribers. We haven't made it there yet, but we are so close. Please get us there on this episode. We would appreciate it very, very much. Andy, let's get into it, man. Money in the Bank this past Saturday. What a show it was. Before we get into the card, some humongous news that happened on that show that we're going to start with. We'll get to the card in a second. Humongous news. The GOAT, John Cena, shows up at the show and announces his farewell tour. The last time is now, and now he is talking about 2025 will be his retirement run. And man, when you first started watching wrestling, like, John Cena was the guy.
Yep.
He was front and center, the face of the company. Yeah. And so your initial reaction to hearing this is it for him.
You know, it's weird because I think we all knew this was coming sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Because he's been very vocal about that in the past, that he's not done with wrestling just yet. He's got a couple more things he wants to do, but it's coming closer and closer.
Yep.
And the fact that it's here is very surreal in a lot of ways. Because if you'd asked me in 2010 what I would feel about a John Cena retirement, I'd be like, sure, fine, like, about time, because the dude was super Cena-ing it up, and everybody hated Cena.
He was
Cena.
just getting started.
And he was just getting started. But now, like, it's weird. Like, it's very weird to think about John Cena retiring because it doesn't seem like it should be happening yet.
Right.
But it is, and, you know, there's a lot of prospects out there of exciting things for him to do within this last year. The fact that he's basically going to be full-time in 2025 is wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping no injuries, nothing like that happens, and let's just let this thing ride out. But yeah, I guess my reaction was when he came out, I was like, oh, I bet he's retiring, or announcing WrestleMania in Toronto. That'll never happen like he did with in
London.
England. Yeah,
last year. Yeah.
And then when he said retirement, I was like, oh, this is legit. Like, this is absolutely legit. So, and the tagline is very, like, gut punching.
Yep.
The time is now. Like, it's like, oh, come on now. We can have a couple more in you, I feel like. But I'm excited to see what he does within the next year or so.
It was wild because he always holds the towel up, and immediately you read the last time is now. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. He's retiring. Mm-hmm. And then I read his shirt, and it said 2025, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Yeah. Okay, so we got a little bit of time. So if you listen to his interview with Chris Van Vliet, I guess it was like
couple months ago.
It was right around WrestleMania, maybe a little before that. He said that his goal was to try to get Hollywood to let him have off the beginning part of 2025 so that he could come back and he was going to do one more run.
Yeah.
We all assumed it would be Rumble to WrestleMania and he would retire at WrestleMania, but in the press conference after the show, he clarified now he's going to do 30 to 40 dates throughout all of 2025.
Yep.
And he's going to go January to December. So who knows exactly what that looks like. But like you said, he's almost full-time. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I'm curious because I think like we all would have thought WrestleMania was like the end spot for him.
Sure.
But I'm curious, like Survivor Series is probably what we're looking at for him.
depending on what they do in December, Sam Roberts threw out this really good idea on his podcast today. And I know I get a lot of stuff from Sam Roberts. Sam Roberts is a really smart dude.
Yeah.
For those of you who might give him some flack, that's a really smart dude. He knows that, listen, Sam Roberts was calling Jinder Mahal to become world heavyweight champion long before anybody else was, and guess what? It happened.
That doesn't mean it's smart. But
I'm not
you're
saying
saying. I get what you're
Yes,
saying.
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
from
for
a
sure.
business perspective. Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. So what he said was there should be a special premium live event in December.
Yes.
Just like they did Ric Flair's last match.
Yep.
For John Cena.
Yep.
And that's his last match.
Put it in Boston.
Yep.
Have it be in Massachusetts.
See, you're jumping on my theory. Here's my theory.
Okay.
That I haven't let out anywhere yet. And I didn't come to this realization until after Cena's announcement that he made about his retirement, because this is my next question. I'm going to get to it in a second. But back a couple of, I guess it was a month or so ago, when they announced Minneapolis for SummerSlam 2026 for 2 nights. And I remember Monday Night Raw and Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, they showed the promos, like, oh, Minneapolis 2026. And then immediately Cole turns to Pat and he goes, where's 2025 going to be, Pat? I just wonder where 2025 is going to be. And it didn't click to me until yesterday. Boston, 2025. That's where Cena gets his shot at the world title.
Yeah.
Win or lose in his hometown.
Yeah.
That's a shot.
Yeah, I could also read that, though, with the announcement for Indy being they get a Rumble, a SummerSlam, and a WrestleMania. I could see SummerSlam being an Indy.
But not the same year that it's Rumble. Because Rumble's 25 in Indy. So 2025 SummerSlam.
No, 25 is Vegas.
That's WrestleMania.
That's what I'm saying. So they're going to get so I'm saying they'll get SummerSlam in 25. Oh, they're getting Rumble in 25.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that is true. Boston would make a lot of sense then.
I mean, you wouldn't do Boston a stadium show for WrestleMania. You might do it for WrestleMania, but it's not going to be 41.
No.
You're not going to do it for Rumble.
No.
So your other stadium show, you have to do it
SummerSlam.
in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes total sense to do it there. If not there, well, I don't know why you couldn't do both. Have SummerSlam be there and then for his final match, have it be in Boston as well. Or, a city that is very, very near and dear to him.
Like Toronto.
Madison Square Garden.
That's the other thing is they always run the Garden in December.
Yeah, so it could be. I just hope it's not a house show live event.
Sure.
That they've done a time or two.
Sure.
Like, I hope this is an actual, let's have some other matches on the card. Let's do some things, but the main event is Cena's last match against whoever that is. The question is, and I'm sure this will be your question, is who is his last match going to be with?
Wasn't going to be my question, but we can go there.
It's going to be a question at some point.
Who is his last match going to be with? I don't know. Sam Roberts threw out, again, I'll give Sam credit. He threw out Randy Orton for his last match.
Yeah.
I think Orton belongs on this farewell tour at some point. I don't know if it's his last.
To me, Randy Cena at Mania. Because I don't think we've done Randy Cena one-on-one at Mania.
That is correct. I wouldn't go Randy Cena at Mania. I would go Cena Cody at Mania.
See, I'm thinking Cena Cody for the last match.
Okay. Or you could do Cena Cody at SummerSlam.
Yeah. One of those two. I think the matches we're going to get on this run.
That's the thing. We don't know what the order is going to be. And listen, this is not until 2025. We're going to talk about this a whole lot next year.
But I think right now, gut feeling is I think we have to get another Cena Orton match.
Yes.
Which, Lord, if I'd heard myself say that a couple years ago, I'd have punched myself in the face for saying that. But
how's 2010 Andy feel about that?
He hated that so much. I think we're going to get another Cena Orton match. I think we have to get another Cena Punk match. Yep. Or at least something with those
Some
two.
interaction.
Yeah.
A tag match with them.
A tag match would be great. Would be awesome. I think you have to do Cena Cody at some point.
Yep.
This makes me wish Edge was back in WWE.
Oh, so much. That was my
Cena
first
Edge
thought.
would be fantastic.
That was my first thought.
Cena, honestly, Cena and Bo Dallas would be very interesting.
Cena and AJ one more time.
Yeah.
Let me tell you who I want to see. This is my dream opponent. And if you listen to the MCWF, our fantasy booking show, this match has already happened. Cena and Logan Paul will be incredible.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun match.
Yeah.
A war of words. You talk about a promo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, and even like some up and comers to get, experience in the rep. Cena and Braun Breaker. Would be really good. Cena and
Gunther.
Cena and Chad Gable, and flip the roles of Cena and Kurt Angle in some ways. Like I think there's just a lot of directions. But the ones that have to happen, I think, for sure, is Cena Punk in some fashion, or Cena and Punk working together in some fashion. Cena Randy, Cena Cody. Those are the three that
we got to get.
Have to happen.
For sure. Here was my question. And it's all John Cena related, and it's all this fantasy booking. What's 2025 going to look like? I mentioned him getting a shot at the world title at SummerSlam. Maybe that's Gunther. Maybe that's Cody. You mentioned Cody being his last opponent. Okay, that's probably for the world title if Cody still has it at the end of 25. That's real far in advance. Don't know. Does Cena get another world title run?
Oh, man.
Does he win it? Should he win it? Should he break the great Nature Boy Ric Flair's record? Because I'll put it to you this way before you answer. If you're putting together the greatest wrestlers of all time, not necessarily Mount Rushmore, not necessarily entertainers, the best wrestlers of all time. Flair's on the list, and Cena is not.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, should he break Flair's record?
If we're doing in-ring aspect, no. But if we're talking about made WWE kind of what WWE is, not saying he's the only one, because I think
correct.
Hogan and Austin and Rock laid the foundation, but Cena kept that foundation going during probably one of WWE's darkest times of like...
Yeah, you can argue that 94, 95, 93, 94, 95 was horrible. And then
2010 through 2012-ish, even 13 was horrible.
Rough.
Very, very bad.
Rough.
So I think... I don't know. I don't know if it's something that has to happen. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it just depends on what title it is and who's the champ at the time.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Because I don't necessarily want Cody necessarily to lose his title to Cena. And I don't necessarily want him to lose it just to pick it back up again from Cena like 2 months later, whatever the case was. I don't want him to beat Gunther for the title.
What if Gunther picks it up a month later? Wins it back.
Even then, I think Gunther needs to be... Now, if it's like... I think what would be really interesting is if Judgment Day is still together, they cost Gunther the title, and Damian Priest is champion until next year, and Cena takes the title off Priest. I think it's fine. But I don't know if you want Priest to be champion
that long.
Is the question. I don't know. I think the circumstances... I think there is a scenario where he does win it. I just think the circumstances have to fit.
Yes.
Because you also got to throw in here, obviously, and this is going to tie into what we're going to talk about a little bit later, but everything that happened at WrestleMania 40 was not necessarily supposed to happen the way that it happened, and is pushed back a lot into WrestleMania 41 and down the line. So this Bloodline storyline with the title, this Rock Cody storyline with the title, Cena played into it at WrestleMania 40, but does he continue to play into it in 2025 as well is the question. Because another Cena Punk versus Rock and somebody else would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
Because those two guys have a lot of history with Rock. So I think that'd be very interesting to see that.
Yeah, Cena obviously ties into a whole lot of stories. I think to answer the question, I think you're spot on. The circumstance will dictate whether he needs a title on. Because look, he made it very clear. He's going to stick around with WWE once he retires. Yeah. Nothing in ring. He's retiring the jorts.
Yeah.
So there's nothing with that, but he's going to stick around the WWE family.
Yeah.
So that means if he does ambassador appearances or whatever, they can now say the man with the most championship reigns of all time.
Yeah.
Now, Bully Ray on Busted Open made the point that he's already the greatest WWE champion of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
but may not be the best world champion of all time just because Ric Flair was able to do it in an era where he traveled so much and blah, blah, whatever. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit there, but...
And I think it's also really interesting. They've been called, especially since Triple H has been in charge, every time Cena's shown up, they call him the GOAT.
Which... to me, on one hand, means he doesn't need it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. But at the other end, like if he's the GOAT, he's going to have the most worlds. Like,
bingo.
But I don't.
That's it. Yep.
I don't think. I think in 2010 through while Vince was in charge.
Yep.
World title reigns, the number of them mattered.
Yes.
Today, I don't think they matter as much.
Correct. And especially, who's the man in charge of creative?
Yeah.
Triple H.
Yeah.
Who's his favorite wrestler of all time?
Yeah.
Ric Flair.
So,
but Ric Flair is under contract for AEW now.
He is.
And he's not going to be making appearances for WWE.
And Flair has said multiple times, if anybody's going to beat it, he wants Cena to be the one to beat it. So I think the circumstances, you can't do it just to do it. I think you can, but the circumstances have to fit really well. You don't want another Rock Cody situation again, where people are going to turn on Cena in his last run here.
Right. Just depends. I don't know. We'll have to see. So circumstances will dictate it. We'll be right here covering it all, though. We're excited to cover it. It's John Cena's last run. Arguably one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
Definitely on Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. He carried the company in one of the worst times. You said it. Nobody does it like John Cena does. Yep. So keep it locked in right here wherever you find your podcast, on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Make sure you follow us at SQCircle_radio if you're watching. That handle is there on the screen. Our individual handles are there as well. Make sure you follow us. We would appreciate it. So that was John Cena in the middle of Money in the Bank. Let's talk about the rest of the card, and let's kick it off with the men's Money in the Bank match. Drew McIntyre coming down with the briefcase. Andy, you called it. He was your pick. Now, before we talk about the aftermath and the craziness...
It's going to be hard not to bleed those two together.
Let's talk about the match, though. It kicked off the show. It was a fun match. Lots of hard bumps. Lots of cool spots. I just thought it was a really, really, not the best men's match.
No.
But it was really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think it was the best ladder match of the night.
Oh, no. By a long shot, it was not.
But it did its job.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. I think everybody came out of this looking either the same or better in a lot of ways. And so I really enjoyed it. I personally think Drew was the right call.
Yes.
To win this briefcase. I think the way he did it, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody chuck a ladder at another person on the top of the ladder. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that he was the one to do it. I also love the spot that AJ did a couple years ago, that Chad Gable did, where he was holding on to the briefcase trying to get it
and just
fell. That's a long way up, and that's a hard bump to take.
Bro jumped right up after the bump and took a spear.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm sure that knocked his breath out.
Oh, yeah,
then he took a spear.
So it was a wild show. The one thing I was surprised at was not a single person got involved in this.
No.
Not a single interference.
No Wyatt Sick6.
Nope. No Bloodline.
No Logan Paul.
Nope.
None of that.
Nope. So no Punk, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
But I was shocked that there was I just kept waiting for somebody to come out there.
Oh, yeah,
and
me
get
too.
involved.
For sure.
But overall, a really, really fun opening match.
Yep.
That I think the right winner was picked this time.
I love Carmelo Hayes in his Toronto Raptors gear.
Yeah, he looks sick.
He always does a basketball theme for the arena that they're in. It was super cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think he was probably my MVP of the match in some ways because of the bumps that he took.
We didn't talk about Andrade either. I thought
Andrade looked really good too.
Andrade was solid in the match.
But I think Carmelo looked really good.
He had the most to prove.
He did, and everything he did was with intent.
Yes.
And he sold like a madman in this match. So I will give him credit for that.
He did. My favorite spot of the match was the yeet punch exchange.
Oh, that was so good.
That was so good.
That was so good. They did it on SmackDown before, and like the crowd got into it. I was like, this is amazing. And then the Money in the Bank, it was so good.
We've talked about so much with the change in this regime and how we're seeing a whole lot of different production techniques that we've never seen before. How about the way they shot the end? Yeah. Where you thought Jey Uso was winning and then Drew from out of nowhere.
They did that twice.
Yeah, they did.
Got us twice.
Oh, I know.
They got us twice.
And I'll talk about it when we get to the women's. I fell for it both times.
I did too. But the feel of it was just completely different. Than I think ever before. And I don't know. It was a great way to kick off the show, I think. I think this was the perfect match to kick off the show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I couldn't, going back through it, I couldn't have seen any other match kicking off the show.
Possibly the women's one, but even then, I think it was in the perfect spot for where it was.
I agree. Let's fast forward to the middle of the card because we can't talk about Drew McIntyre winning the briefcase without talking about the World Heavyweight Championship match. Now, before we get to Drew.
Yeah.
You got Damian Priest. You got Seth Rollins. Let's talk about that for just a minute. Lots of controversy apparently surrounding the non-kick-out referee botch, whatever you want to call it, from Damian Priest.
Yeah.
A lot of people online are torching the ref. A lot of people online are torching Priest. I tend to believe that either Priest got knocked out or Drew's music was supposed to hit during that and it got missed.
Yeah.
So
something happened.
I don't know.
Yeah, something happened. And listen, this happens from time to time. Honestly, if it would have happened anywhere else in the match, I think it would have been swept under the rug more.
Yes.
But the fact that it happened at such a pivotal moment in the match, literally right before Drew came out, I think that is what a lot of people are focused on the most about it. And, I feel bad for Damian. This is his second defense in a row where something has gone haywire. The last one, his foot got caught in the ropes and
he almost died.
But I'll say this, he sold that one like a madman. He did a really good job of selling that. This time, I don't know. He looked pretty unhappy when the match was over.
Which that could have been because of Punk, because of interference. It could have been because of the spot.
It could have just been the whole situation, everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I feel like Rollins really wrestled very protective in this match. I feel like he moved a little slower.
Yeah.
Which I get. First match back.
Probably not fully healed.
Maybe not. Yep.
So I'm, just taking it slow. I did like the little look back and the little breathe before he did the move where he hurt himself last time. He was like, okay, let's try this again. Yeah. And then hit it. I thought that was pretty cool.
And he likes to do that when he does the sunset flip power bomb from the top too, when he tore his ACL. Yeah, he does that too. Before we talk about the aftermath, before the match, I feel like so many people are glossing over this. Now, again, we didn't get to hear everything that happened during Monday Night Raw because we've been recording. But the Finn Balor interaction before the match, where he said, "Whatever you say, boss."
Yeah.
And they zoomed it. Oh, my gosh. I almost came out of my seat.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I thought in the moment, Seth's winning. Like, Seth's winning, Drew's cashing in, something's happening because we're going to get, or Finn's going to get involved, try to attack Seth, Damian's going to get in the way, and then Finn's going to cost Damian. Like, something like that was going to happen. Nothing like that happened, but they are, I think this is like the 20th time we said Judgment Day is going to break up. It just hasn't happened yet.
But again, we said that about the Bloodline too.
Yeah.
And they just evolve.
They keep evolving.
So the Judgment Day, I'm sure, is going to evolve in some way.
Until we split and we get Wolfpack Judgment Day and everything else.
Black and purple Judgment Day.
That'd be great.
And then
red and purple.
White.
Yeah. We'll get a little red in there too. I'm all for that.
Oh, man. All right. Let's talk about the earth-shattering moment that was the end. You and I texted about it before the show. It's like, what if they do this? And we were both sort of like, that might be a waste of the briefcase.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do it or not. Daggum, man. They pulled the trigger.
They did.
Drew cashed in. Punk cost him.
Yeah.
And Priest came out with the title.
Yeah, and I'm normally the one that sits on this podcast and preaches the importance of the Money in the Bank briefcase. However, it might just be biased because it's Punk and a couple other things. This ruled. I love this. I absolutely love this because it just feeds into the story even more.
It makes it feel so important.
I want to see Punk. Like, to me, right now, the main event of SummerSlam should be Punk and Drew.
Yeah.
I feel like Punk and Drew, no offense to Cody, no offense to Priest and Gunther, Punk and Drew is the biggest, one of the biggest stories they're telling right now.
It is the biggest, I think.
I think the bloodline and it are like right here, but there's so much happening week to week to week to week with Punk and Drew.
Yep.
And half the times Punk's not even there, and like stuff is still happening. So I'm very curious to see what happens. I think it's obvious where they're heading because of the pay-per-view that was announced for this week.
Yes.
In October, I believe it is.
Bad Blood, yep.
In Atlanta. And so I'm pretty sure we're heading to those two inside Hell in a Cell, which please do. That would be amazing. But the question is now, is it going to be Punk and Drew? Or is it going to be Punk versus Drew versus Seth?
I think we get the triple threat at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what they're going to do with Seth right now.
Yeah.
You and I speculated they could do Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn. That would be fun.
Yeah.
With Seth.
It seems like they're going back to Braun, though, for that.
And yes, correct. So, what do you do with Seth? Well, I think you could put him in a triple threat because you just mentioned it. Maybe he's not fully healed yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you give him a lighter load. Punk, if he's cleared, is going to be in his first match since December, really, because he got hurt in the Rumble.
Yeah.
So, first match, lighter load, 3 guys in there.
Yeah.
Drew can take the punishment.
Yeah.
My only hiccup with that is I don't know how you get back to just Punk and Drew by themselves unless we do a triple threat Hell in a Cell.
No, I think the way you get back, and I hate to say this, I think the way you get back is you have Punk beat Seth. Punk pins Seth in the middle of the ring. And then Drew can be like, yeah, you beat Seth.
But you didn't beat
me. Didn't beat me. And those two can kind of go at it some more.
And
I think you can then, because you need, at some point, we have to have Punk versus Drew one-on-one. And we have to have Seth versus Punk one-on-one. And I think you can build to that one to WrestleMania like it was supposed to happen this past year and do the other one.
I think Drew pins Seth instead of Punk pinning Seth. So Punk can then say, you didn't pin me because we're building to that Seth Punk match, and you don't want that to...
I'm telling you, this is how it's going to happen. Drew's going to hit a Claymore. Punk's going to throw him out of the ring and pin Seth.
Yep, probably.
And he stole another thing from him.
Chance.
Tell that story forever because it's so interesting.
Let me go back to the waste of the briefcase narrative.
Yeah.
Let me give my 2 cents on that because I love that I was going to the triple threat. So I love that you picked up on that because I think it's a real good possibility because of so much history between those guys. But I feel like I'm with you. I'm with you that they didn't waste it. It was perfect to use it. I think that the Money in the Bank contract match itself was created in the right vein to give people the right opportunity. However, when Money in the Bank, I feel like, was its hottest, is when the rest of the product was on such a downward slope.
Yeah.
Because they needed it.
Yeah.
Now, you don't necessarily need it because of the great stories that are being told.
It can be used more as a story aspect than necessarily anything else.
A shot in the arm. Oh, we don't have anything else going on. Oh, Dolph Ziggler's cashing in tonight.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think there is a scenario where both of those can be true at the same time.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
And I don't think we've reached that yet.
Totally agree. We got to get there.
I honestly will say this. I'm happy it happened with the men's briefcase this time. Because I feel like the women's briefcase has not... Carmella's been the one to hold it the longest.
She had it for like 9 months.
Yeah. I think spoiler alert. I think Tiffany can hold it for a lot longer and keep going.
Maybe.
And then we can get, we can have at least a lengthy contract with her. There are some people when they win the contract, they're the type that they don't need to hold it for a long time. Right. And I think Drew is that person.
Sure.
I think Braun Strowman was that person.
Sure.
I think Cena was that person when he held it, and Randy Orton, those guys, because they are already established guys. I think if a guy like LA Knight won it, or Chad Gable won Andrade, or even Carmelo Hayes, they can hold it for a really long time because Damian Priest can hold it for a really long time.
Chelsea Green could have taken that up to day 365.
Oh, absolutely, because it fits who they are.
Yep.
So I think that is really, really important when it comes to doing all of the Money in the Bank stuff. However, I'm fine with it because it doesn't necessarily happen all the time.
Right.
I'm fine with it being used as a story mechanism.
Let's play the other side of this, because I understand the narrative, because I even wrote this in my notes after the match happened, that there's going to be people online that's going to just bury this to no end.
Yeah.
I understand why.
Yeah, I do too.
I get it.
I do too.
So let's play that side of it. Explain to me how you would have fantasy booked. You don't have to go into super great detail or whatever. Explain to me how you would have fantasy booked Punk screwing Drew in the match and him not winning the briefcase.
Yeah.
And how we get to the same level that we're at right now. Is there even a good scenario that we could get there? Because Drew, for those of you that missed it, on the post show, invaded the post show, elbowed Adam Pearce in the face. That's why he got suspended.
Wade Bear getting involved made me want him to wrestle again so bad, by the way.
I don't think it's out of the question.
I don't either.
So, paint me a scenario where maybe he doesn't rush the kickoff show.
Yeah.
Maybe he does something on Raw and he gets suspended because of that.
I mean, the easy scenario is Drew's at the top, Punk comes in and just pushes over the ladder. However, I think there's a scenario where you could have AJ Lee come out and push over the ladder. And then Drew can come back on Raw and be like, your wife did the dirty work for you, like invoke her name. Punk comes out and they have just an absolute brawl.
Yep.
Adam Pearce comes out to get involved, and Drew attacks Adam Pearce.
Yep.
And that, like, I think you can kind of get to the same scenario that way.
Yep.
I don't think it works as well, though, as what happened here. And I get the other side of the argument, because some people are saying it's a waste of the Money in the Bank. Some people are also saying it's becoming repetitive because it happened in Glasgow. It happened at WrestleMania. It happened at Money in the Bank now. It's happened. He cost him a chance at the world title on Raw one time as well. It's like this is like the fourth time it's happened. It's happened. And I get that. But when he's not cleared to wrestle, you kind of have to find ways to make it work. And he can cut a promo like he did tonight on Raw, which was fantastic as always. But you have him get physical. I mean, when's the last time we saw a guy get choked out with a camera cable? Things like that was absolutely wild to see that. Yeah, like that. There
it is.
That is a wild shot to see that. And you got to remember, the last time these two guys saw each other, Drew bloodied Punk and left him in a bloody mess on the stage. So like it all just makes sense why they did it the way they did it. I get the other side of the argument. I think this worked out really, really, really well.
Oh, I do too. I think in the hands of Triple H and the current creative, they could have made it work.
Yeah.
And we still would have been just as interested. But man, because of how much has been taken away from Drew, how much equity has been put into this story with, like you said, Punk not being on TV, he's not cleared, all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on the YouTube channel and you see this face, I just imagine the brawl out, and this is the face that's backstage.
Oh, that's the face Tony Khan saw.
Yeah.
When he, quote unquote, feared for his life for no reason. I will say this. We talk about it all the time. The best heels are the ones that have like true motivation. Like their motivation is right and pure, and we know it and we still hate it. Every time Punk does this, he's proving Drew right.
Sure he is.
And that's feeding even more into
Absolutely is. And it's fun for everybody to chant and to get on his case and all that kind of stuff. We're about 30 minutes into the show, and we are already going long. But there is so much to talk about. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. Again, if you're watching the YouTube channel, just hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's talk about the match that you and I both picked wrong, the Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn beating Braun Breaker. Let me just say, after we recorded the podcast, the more I thought about it, I didn't think this was going to be a squash match.
Mm-hmm.
The more and more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? They're going to have a lengthy match, but Braun Breaker is still going to win. That did not happen. I was shocked.
Yeah, this was the low moment of the night for me.
I can agree with that.
And nothing against Sammy. I think Sammy's a great Intercontinental Champion. He beat Gunther, all of that. I think they've been building Braun up so strong.
Yeah, the result doesn't make any sense.
To have him lose to one haluva kick makes no sense to me.
Agreed.
If he'd have hit 2 or 3, then I get it. Now, tonight on Raw, he came out and just speared Sammy out of his shoes twice. And nasty. They're building it back up again.
Yes.
I feel like if he would have come out, no, this is the story I was telling, like I could see them telling in my mind, was him beating Sammy pretty bad at Money in the Bank, do the rematch at SummerSlam. Kevin Owens is in Sammy's corner, and he has to like throw in the towel because Braun's just beating the crap out of Sammy so bad. They could still kind of get to that point or something like that. Because I think if this is a rematch at SummerSlam, I could see Braun winning there and just like being absolutely ballistic and just running through Sammy.
Agreed.
I don't like the fact that he was put down just by one finisher.
I'll go a step further. I don't like that Braun was in this match to begin with. Because I understand them building him up, and he can't win every time.
Right.
I'm not expecting him to win every time Goldberg. I'm not expecting that. Okay? But Sammy is also very credible. He's a longtime fan favorite. He beat the 666-day reign of Gunther.
Yeah.
There's equity in Sami Zayn. So it makes for an interesting dynamic because a lot of people, let's be honest, Braun Breaker's a heel. A lot of people watched him in NXT. They know his lineage. They're behind him.
They are. I mean, he's getting a lot of dog barks at him when he walks out to the ring.
A dude that can run the ropes at 23 miles an hour or whatever it is, he's getting over. For
His new music, too, which is I'm a fan of. Like, all of that. I think it was a massive missed opportunity.
I just don't think it should have happened to begin with.
I think it should happen at SummerSlam.
I think the one time it should have happened, Braun should win and we were done with it.
Yeah.
Whether that was this time or at SummerSlam, I think it's one and done. I don't think I was ready for a big Braun Breaker struggle just yet.
No. And I think the injury to Ludwig Kaiser probably threw a wrench in some of this because it was basically Sheamus, Braun, and Ludwig were all kind of tangled together.
See, just have Sheamus and Braun Breaker go at it a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And
go that route. Like, that's how you can establish him.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that it was one finisher that put him down.
Agreed.
It's not even necessarily that he lost. I think if he would have lost by, 3 finishers or hitting one, kicking out, and then getting caught by a surprise 1, 2, 3, whatever the case is. The one finisher, and it did not feel like it did anything for Braun.
Agreed.
Which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yep. I definitely agree. Let's move on to the, hands down, no questions asked, match of the night. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match. You called it. It's Tiffy time, ladies and gentlemen. Tiffany Stratton. You called it. And my 4-year-old also called it. This is who he wanted to win as well.
Smart.
Tiffany Stratton coming out victorious in the women's Money in the Bank. A fantastic match. Can I just say, I made a note in my phone when I was watching this at the very beginning. And I said, this might be the least star-studded women's Money in the Bank field ever. But it could be the best women's Money in the Bank match ever.
I think it is.
They delivered on so many levels.
Yeah, I think this one is the best one kind of by a lot. I think they've done a really good job. I think in the beginning there were a couple missteps and a couple of, miscues, whatever the case is.
It's going to take them a while to get their feet under
them. It is, because it's a ladder match. There's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts.
A lot of inexperience.
But, man, some of the bumps Zoe Stark took were nasty. Some of this, like the ending bump with Chelsea going through the tables.
There it is.
Is just a crazy, crazy, crazy spot that she got from her husband.
They landed that perfectly.
Yeah.
They built all night long.
Yeah.
her fear of heights.
Yep.
All night long.
And then when she finally had the courage to climb, she got pushed through the table. So I'm very excited to see what happens Friday with her. Like, I want to see her reaction.
Yes.
I hope she's in a neck brace. I hope we go the whole 9 yards.
She needs to be in the wheelchair.
Yes, like everything.
Yes.
And then Kane comes out and pushes her off like Zach. But
that's what happens.
but I honestly, like, this whole match was just done really, really, really well. And I said it for the men's. Everyone came out looking pretty strong. The same is true for the women's.
Yes.
Like the women came out looking fantastic.
Yep.
And I think Chelsea was a great pick. I think Chelsea would have been a fantastic Miss Money in the Bank.
Yep.
I think it fits Tiffany's character right now so well. And she's on such an uptick that it makes total sense to put it on her.
Did you see Green Shirt Guy's video of this bump?
I did.
He's literally sitting right in front of it. If you guys go check it out on Twitter, I don't remember exactly what his handle is, but go check it out. He's literally right in front of this, taking a video of it. It's absolutely
it's
incredible.
nasty.
It really is. So what a match by the women. I'm bummed that Chelsea didn't win. Tiffany will be really good though. I think it could be one of those things where like Chelsea just, her character doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be annoying anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
See, you had kind of convinced me that she was going to win it, and I'd already, like, in my mind, I would love it if she won the title and as a heel brought back the Divas title for a little bit.
That's what she said she was going to do.
And, like, all of that.
She said it on Twitter. That's what she was going to do.
I think that would have been amazing.
Because what she has talked about in a lot of interviews is she has said that she feels like she and Maxine Dupree, who are like best friends apparently, they belonged in the Divas era, not this era.
Yes. However, I think they both have a really interesting place in this era.
Sure they do. Oh, they absolutely do.
But
So
I can see that.
Yeah, bringing back the Divas title, that would have been fantastic. All right, let's talk about the main event. The Bloodline reigning supreme over Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. You called this one too, man. Solo pinning Cody to get the win. Man, what a match. It was really, really good. It was a nice finish to the match. The We Want Roman chant started early.
Yeah.
But of course, a botched low blow
Gosh, that was so funny.
Is what everybody's going to talk about.
Listen. I know we talked about botches a lot tonight, some. That was the best one of the night. That might be one of the best ones of all time.
I know.
Because he just... I get his concern. He didn't want to punch Tama Tonga in the head.
Yes.
So he just went like right up Kevin Owens' butt. And there was like, nope, I missed. Let me scoot closer.
And then he punched Tama Tonga in the head.
He did, yeah. It was so funny. And I feel bad for the guy because he already has a bad rap.
Yes.
From, I don't know if you've seen the video of him in New Japan with the slowest chops in the world.
No, I haven't seen the video.
I will show it to you afterwards. Okay. It's hilarious. Okay. And then his botched debut. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Where he went to get in the ring and slipped and missed and had to like jump back in quickly and completely missed his spot. Like completely missed it.
Was it his debut or Tama Tonga's? That where he got caught in the ring apron?
That was his.
Oh, that was his.
That was his.
Okay.
That was his.
He got caught in the ring apron and the referee had to fall out.
Yeah. So I just feel bad for the guy because he's not like the stuff that has happened to him other than the chops. The chops were really bad.
Yeah.
But those two times, like, that could happen to anybody.
Yes.
Like, literally could happen to anybody. Sure. And it kind of deflated the end of this a little.
Yep. I agree. I definitely agree.
Because I was also like, please just hit the package pile driver. We haven't seen it. Just do it. Just go for the move right now.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about Jacob Fatu, who we did not know was even going to be at this event. And he's in the match. Yeah. His debut match in WWE, the first spot that he has, he takes the hanging DDT from Randy Orton. Orton's gearing up for the RKO, and Jacob just pops up, no-sells it. The crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Jacob looked great.
He looks like the Samoan werewolf that he is. And I'm very excited to see where they go with him. Honestly, like I'm very excited to see Roman and Solo face to face.
Yes.
I cannot wait for Roman and Jacob to be face to face.
Right.
I think those two guys are going to be very interesting together. I think this did a really good job of setting up Solo as the next challenger, because again, you pin the champion. It's setting you up big time.
Yep.
I think it also did a really good job of being like, yeah, Solo's the guy right now. keep your eye on Jacob. Like, just keep your eye on Jacob the entire time, because I think they're going to build him up really strong, really quick.
Two directions I want to go with this. And this could send us on a rabbit hole in both directions. So listeners, buckle up. That's right. I feel like it was Solo pinning Cody, setting him up as the next challenger, obviously. I feel like his promo from SmackDown was misplaced.
Yeah.
I feel like it absolutely spoiled what was going to happen. Because in my head, it makes more sense to, after you pin Cody,
play that.
Then you say, Cody, I pinned you once.
Yep.
I'm coming after your title. I'm doing what Roman Reigns couldn't do at WrestleMania. Roman, if you want it, come get it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know that now people want Roman, but you play that, it's like, wait a minute, what has Solo done? You know, he's the leader now, but what has he done other than powerbomb Paul Heyman? Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right, because I think they played it to build a lot of hype of like, oh, he called out Roman. Roman's got to be at Money in the Bank, all this and the other, and then he wasn't. So I get that.
Well, because it was his dad's funeral,
right? I think if they would have played that before SummerSlam, and Solo could have even been like, and the one time you beat Cody was because of me.
Exactly.
Like, I helped you beat Cody.
Yep.
Then you lost to Cody, and I just beat him. If you want it, come take it.
Yep.
So, like, I think they could have played, and
like
they could still play into it.
This Friday would have been a great spot to play it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think they should have done that. They should do that before SummerSlam, because I think, not necessarily a lock, but I think it's almost a guarantee that Roman's showing up at SummerSlam.
Sure.
I think, especially if Solo and Cody, which I'm assuming will be the match for Cody at SummerSlam.
Yep.
If it's main eventing, which it has to
at this point,
Roman's got to come out the end.
I think what we could have gotten at Money, because obviously we weren't getting Roman because it was his dad's funeral.
Yeah.
What we could have gotten at the end, what would have gotten everybody talking, was at least getting Paul Heyman coming out and be like, hey, Solo, I talked to Roman. He's coming back.
Yeah.
And just leave it.
Yeah. Or just literally showed up backstage and just said, call Roman Reigns. Like, just that is all you needed him to do.
Yep. Boom. Place would have
It'd also been nuts if he went, call The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he'd have done that, like, that would have been,
oh my gosh,
fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Because I think both of those guys are coming back really soon. I wouldn't be shocked if they both didn't show up at SummerSlam.
Oh, that would be cool if they both showed up.
Roman's music hits. He comes out to confront Solo.
And then
Rock's music hits. Roman thinks he's on his side. Drops one with a rock bottom. We're kind of off. Because I think at this point, after that promo, there is no more Roman and Solo working together.
Right. Yeah, my narrative of wanting Roman to come back and thinking Solo is still under his thumb, that's probably out the window.
That's gone out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think you could go that route now. I don't know what. I'm expecting another member to show up for the Bloodline in the next 2 weeks. I don't know what else to expect from this story going into SummerSlam.
Or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the other narrative that I wanted to bring up about this. And that's the narrative that, and we've said it a couple times on this podcast, true or not true, that WWE was concerned that Jacob would come in and overshadow Solo. Take with that what you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's overshadowed Tama Tonga.
Oh, easily.
And I think that's hurt them more. Because, and here's why I say that. Because Tama Tonga was brought in as this dangerous, unpredictable, unhinged dude.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing in Jacob, and I get the narrative of, well, if you thought they were bad, Jacob's even worse.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. But now, to me, that takes away the credibility of Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
I feel like we need something to get Tama back up on that dangerous level to where it's not just we only fear Jacob now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or not call Tama Tonga the right-hand man. Like, I know they want him to be the right-hand man. They want Jacob to be the enforcer. I think they could have made Jacob both.
Yeah.
Be the right-hand man and the enforcer, and have Tama Tonga and Tongaloa just be the henchmen.
Sure.
Like just the guys that are there to help beat up, to help do the dirty work, things like that. I honestly, like, I think you're right that it's him overshadowing Tama Tonga by light years at this point.
Yeah.
Has done a little damage. I also just think, like, to the original bloodline, Jay was already so established that Solo wasn't going to really reach that at that time. That's not really the case with Tama Tonga.
Correct.
Jacob Fatu comes in and immediately, like, wrecks 3 of the top guys in the company easily and instantly becomes probably the head of the bloodline right now.
Absolutely. No doubt.
And so I think he has overshadowed everybody to a certain extent. I don't think it hurts Solo as much as it just hurts the feel of the bloodline altogether.
I think the way that they've built Solo and the way that Jacob has immediately come in and bowed down to Solo and all of that, I think that's what's helping Solo.
Yeah.
And as soon as Roman Reigns' name comes out of Solo's mouth, that instantly brings him to another level.
Yeah.
And not to mention, he just became the third person in WWE to pin Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Behind Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, because Brock submitted him. Yeah.
Him. Yep. So third person.
Fourth person to beat him, third person
to pin him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Man, what a pay-per-view Money in the Bank was. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Again, if you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Lots of good playlists of our past videos, extra stuff going on our YouTube channel. We're almost to 100 subscribers. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it so much. Like the video. I don't know exactly what it does to the algorithm. It helps. Leave us a comment. A couple of you guys have been leaving comments recently. Some new subscribers giving us some love. We appreciate that very much. Keep those comments going. Again, algorithm, I don't know what it is. It works. So your support on the YouTube channel means the world to us. We appreciate it so much. All right, Andy. Money in the Bank. We anticipated it. It was going to be a fantastic show. It delivered.
Yep.
Maybe it wasn't the best pay-per-view ever, but it was
solid.
Really, really good.
Yep.
Let me tell you what else we were anticipating and that delivered and was absolutely incredible is the WrestleMania 40 Behind the Curtain documentary. Delayed for 3 months at this point.
Yep.
We got it the Wednesday before Money in the Bank. To obviously some mixed reactions because that's what the internet wrestling community does. They can't be satisfied with anything they get. I know you're like me in this scenario. We're just suckers for behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And to get anything like what we got, a peek behind the curtain in seemingly real time of how a story developed, I got to give it its flowers, man. It was so good.
Oh, yeah. For a documentary, WWE always knocks it out of the park with their documentaries, and this one was no different. The question that a lot of people have had is the question that I'm probably going to have at the same time.
Fire away. Let's do it.
How much of this was actually true? Because that, to me, like the way they told the story is that Cody went into business for himself, pointed at Roman because he was told that day we were going Roman Rock and not Roman Cody. And so there's just a lot of questions in the air of like one, and Triple H kind of explained it in the documentary where he was like, Cody was so hot, we couldn't have him just lose the Rumble, this, that, and the other. If you were planning on doing Punk Cody and you weren't planning on doing Roman Cody, or if you're planning on doing Punk Seth and you're not planning on doing Roman Cody, why would you have Cody win?
Right.
Like, that is my question. So I don't know how much of that was true. It also seemed very much like this was all Rock's idea, which I don't know how much of that I kind of believe at the same time, because I called Hunter and I called Ariel and I called, who's the other guy?
Nick Khan.
Yeah, I called Nick Khan and told them this, that, and the other, and we should do. And so I'm like, yeah, you probably had a hand in it. I just don't know. I just don't know how much of it to believe.
Sure.
Because these documentaries have lied so much before.
Sure.
In a lot of ways, because they also try to tell us that the whole Daniel Bryan story going into WrestleMania 30 was the plan from the beginning, and it absolutely was not the plan from the beginning.
Right.
So I don't know how much of it I believe, but from a documentary standpoint, all of it behind the scenes stuff was fantastic to see and very interesting to see how how it all played out and how much goes into WrestleMania more so than we even realized.
Right.
Which I love that part of it.
A couple of things that we have to really consider here. First of all, I'll say this about The Rock. From what I know about Rock and from the people that I have talked with that have personally interacted with him on a business, professional, and personal level, none of them have had a bad thing to say about Rock. Yeah. That is not to say that Rock doesn't pull his weight around and doesn't try to get his way or what have you. Every smart businessman does that in one way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So I don't blame Rock, but I don't think Rock is innocent.
Yeah.
I do think that Rock was extremely instrumental in the character change.
Yes.
But I think that Rock had to be convinced a little more than he's letting on that he had to be convinced.
Yes, I agree.
Because he said it, that they could have trucked on.
Yeah.
And it would have probably worked. Because the majority of the fans that night, when Rock came out on SmackDown, it was huge.
Yeah, it was.
And Rock talked about, he mentioned their strategy of pulling people in, blah, blah. Listen, Rock versus Roman Reigns would have been an incredible main event.
Absolutely.
One that we've been clamoring for since 2015.
Yep.
But the connection that Cody Rhodes has with the fans, that they were able to take a main event away from The Rock.
Yeah. Like
come on.
And I think...
And I will say this, but before you answer real quick. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, the man on the screen with Cody Rhodes is Triple H. I think Triple H had a huge hand in convincing Rock and Brian Gewirtz and Nick Khan to stay the course with Cody Rhodes. I think Triple H was huge with that. And that's not to say that there's beef with him and Rock, but I think that his relationship with Rock that goes back so far, that respect that's there, I think that helped so much.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, I think Triple H even said it because we said this in the build going up to it. Excuse me, that Rock and Roman probably is one of, if not the biggest WrestleMania main events of all time.
Yes.
Like, there's just no way around it.
Yes.
And any other time, people would have been really behind it.
They said in the doc. Yep.
But it was just, Cody was so hot, so on fire. Again, because you didn't pull the trigger at WrestleMania 39, people were clamoring for WrestleMania 40.
Absolutely.
From the moment that 3 count happened. I think Paul Heyman said it in the doc. As soon as the match was over, everybody was ready for the rematch.
Absolutely.
Everybody wanted the rematch.
Yep.
And to have that almost taken away, I think really is what fueled a lot of the fans. Because again, like we had been speculating for years, like this is the year Rock's coming back. This is the year we're getting Rock Roman. Like this is the year we're excited for it. And yeah, we were excited when he came back. It was just the circumstances were not right.
Sure.
And it gave a lot of people flashbacks to all the whole thing with Punk and him and Cena and just all of that. That's when they trucked through that.
Yep.
And it did not end very well for the fans, like the casual fans. And I'm all for, because me and my wife were watching this together, and we kind of talked about this. I'm all for reaching the casual viewer, especially for WrestleMania. Not though in the expense of slapping your fan base in the face for just that pop, for just that rating, for just that moment. You can build to this where you're going to have the casual viewer and the weekly viewer hooked if you do it right. And I think the way they pivoted, they did it right. And they've got a lot of people excited for WrestleMania 41.
And no matter what you think about what's true in this doc, what's not true in this doc, the one thing that we can say beyond a shadow of doubt that is true is the genuineness of Cody Rhodes.
Oh, absolutely.
That dude, you saw it in the doc.
Yeah.
Dude wears his emotions on his face, on his sleeve, on his whole body.
Yeah.
Dude, I believe, I'm not saying Cody Rhodes has never lied because there's the Matt Cardona narrative out there that there's the Cody lies. And
Daniel Bryan said, I'm such a good liar because I've learned from Cody Rhodes.
Exactly.
It's like he's a great professional wrestler because he lies sometimes.
Cody lies.
Yes.
But in this documentary, I think it was 100% fact coming out of Cody Rhodes' mouth.
And, I was sitting there watching this, made me respect, like, I already have massive amounts of respect for Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
But sitting there watching this and realizing they were going to take this away from him.
Yeah.
Like, if fans did not voice their opinion,
Dave LaGreca.
Honestly, if Dave LaGreca and the Cody Crybabies and all of that did not voice their opinion, Cody would have been sitting the sidelines for WrestleMania, it looked like.
Yeah.
And so...
Could you imagine if Cody Rhodes would have not been on the WrestleMania card?
If they would have made him win the Andre the Giant like they did with Bobby.
No. Because the narrative out there was, after he won the Rumble, they were going to do an injury angle and sit him out of WrestleMania. And that's how they get to Rock Roman.
Shoot, my blood pressure just raised a little bit.
That's how they got out of the stipulation of the Rumble winner gets the challenge for the title, is he gets hurt and he's out.
That's really dumb. Wow, I did not know that. I'm glad I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was that. Now, again, don't know if that's true. That wasn't in the documentary, but there's a narrative out there about it.
But it made me feel so, like, the night he announced The Rock, the night he said, I'm going to take that title from you, just not at WrestleMania. That look on his face, I remember we were talking about this on our review of the episode and that weekly show that we did. We talked about, like, was that just a look? Did he that was a genuine...
That was it.
This sucks.
Yep, that was it.
This sucks. Everything's being taken from me.
And you saw it when the camera followed him back to his bus that night.
And that was really interesting to me, is that Triple H was there, Roman was there, and Rock was there. All backstage in Gorilla.
Not Cody.
Not a single... Cody Rhodes was gone.
Yep.
Gone to his bus to just take in everything that just happened.
Yep.
That to me... Whoever's idea it was in the first place, that to me is a really bad sign. And I know the pivot was great and everything else, but if that was like Rock's idea to come in and just do that, that's horrible. That's a terrible, terrible thing. And I think Nick Khan has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Nick Khan just saw money signs and was like, this is going to be bigger than Cody, Roman, and everything else, and just put everything kind of beside.
And if you listen to Brian Gewirtz and the way that he tells the story, he said Cody didn't act as happy as we all talked about when we were planning this out.
Oh yeah.
Which again,
I don't blame him.
Cody could have said when they're talking all this out, yeah, I'll put him over, whatever. Yeah. But that was real emotion that he could not hide. No, they came out.
No, and who can blame him at that point?
Exactly.
That was such a Vince McMahon thing to almost happen.
It was. You're right.
That Triple H has set the standard that we expect more from the company now.
Yep.
And that was a Vince McMahon mishap.
Yep.
That almost, like you said, not ruined WrestleMania. I think a lot of people would have been really down on the main event. I think if they would have pushed through with Rock Roman, casual fans would have been happy about it and gone through with it. But me and you would have been like, yeah, it was great, but like Cody was not even on the show. Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We talk about Triple H, and we always talk about this era of storytelling that we're in. And I think a lot of the doc that we are, and we'll wrap up on this and get ready to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging with us. A lot of the doc that we are speculating, is it true or is it not true? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this specific story is not over.
Yeah.
So they really can't tell us everything. They can't
show us everything. Yeah.
Because it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Like this, as I mentioned at the top, this was, in theory, real time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're looking back at a show 20 years ago and telling the story. No. There's still a lot of this story to be told. There's still a Cody Rock match, probably. There's a Cody Roman rematch, most likely.
Yeah.
There's a Rock Roman match that's still going to happen.
Solo plays into this now.
Seth Rollins, we didn't even talk about the MVP of WrestleMania, Seth Rollins, which I don't know about you, but I wish they did a great job of talking about his injury in the doc, but they didn't really tell us why Seth was involved. Did you get that at all?
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, I think in my mind it was because he has a long history with Cody,
and Roman,
but
they didn't say that.
But he respects Cody so much because he beat him 3 times. Who his dad was, all of that.
Sure.
So we got no explanation for that at all.
It's not like it was like, oh, Seth Rollins is his partner. Well, why is Seth Rollins? Yeah. The last time we saw Cody and Seth Rollins together, they hated each other both on screen and behind the scenes.
Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah.
So I wish they would have explained that a little more.
Yeah, I do too.
So I don't know. We shall see. All right. Good stuff. Great documentary. Again, love behind the scenes stuff like that. I'm not ready to say whether it was worth the wait or not. I don't want to use that word.
Yeah.
But it was a great peek behind the curtain, and I love that we got it.
Yeah, I think if they were to release this right after WrestleMania like they had planned, I think a lot of people would have they'd have hook, line, and sinkered a lot of people. That's exactly what happened. The fact that they delayed it and didn't really tell anybody they delayed it. They just didn't drop it. And we were like, where is the doc?
Yep.
Kind of shows us they had to doctor some stuff probably.
There's a good chance.
How, because I wonder how much of it, how much, especially of Rock's portion, how much of that was interviewed on the road to WrestleMania and how much of that was done post WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, from the trailer that they showed, it all looks the same.
Yeah.
Now, again, you can doctor up, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not placing blame on Rock. I don't think Rock, because again, there's this narrative that he just came in and he wielded the power.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I really don't.
No.
But
like you said, I also don't think he's innocent at the same time.
I don't think. See, that's the thing is, I don't think anybody's innocent in this whole thing.
No.
There's been but again, manipulation to protect those involved and to protect the story that's still being told.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think there's still a lot to unpack. We'll look back at this in about 3 years, and hopefully there'll be a part 2 and a part 3, and we'll be able to connect them all together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully.
All right. Let's talk about some Monday Night Raw news, some other things that happened on our way out very quickly. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. If you're listening to us on SportsWire Radio, make sure you keep it locked in right here, sportswireradio.org. Make sure that you are following Tom at Thomas Bryce 2017 on Twitter. Make sure you're joining in the conversation. Hashtag All Wrestling Matters. It's a great platform. Make sure you're hanging and getting all your sports needs. Let's go out Friday night on SmackDown. Our boys did it. DIY becomes the tag team champions, defeating Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. What a moment.
Yeah, man. I can't believe it's been this long.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am shocked that it's taken this long for Ciampa and Gargano to get something in Triple H's era. I thought they would be two of the guys that immediately would be slingshot up to main event level.
Sure.
In a lot of ways. And that just hasn't happened yet. I think they could build to that. I think it was a great moment. It was a great match. I think it's
crowd
about
popped
time.
Huge.
They did. I think it's about time these two guys won the title. They won it in Toronto where they had their barn burner of a tag match in NXT.
Yes.
And
even hit a shadow machine.
Yeah. So I really, really, really enjoyed it. Congratulations to them. Hopefully they will win some singles gold along the way too.
We got to establish them as a team first before we rip the Band-Aid off, because we know that's coming.
Yeah.
Let's do our weekly Wyatt Sick6 update. My goodness, another video was delivered. This time it was actually delivered to Pat McAfee, who returned to Monday Night Raw this week.
Yep.
We saw a video with Bo Dallas about family, and we got a little glimpse into the people behind the masks.
Yep.
Which was very telling, very
except for Nikki Cross.
Except for Nikki Cross. We did not see her without a mask.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why they did that. Because they did it on purpose.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because it's obvious who she is, or also maybe they're holding off for something with Alexa at some point.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it wasn't done just to be done. There's a reason behind why it happened, probably.
But it was cool to be able to, talk about each of them, and we we figured out why their name is the Wyatt Six,
Yep.
spelled like sick.
Yeah.
So we got that very clear. But the last couple of weeks, the videotape has been the thing that has left us with our jaws on the floor.
Yeah. Which this one did kind of a little bit too.
Until
Yeah.
we come out of the video.
Yeah.
We see Adam Pearce walking through the backstage hallway, and Chad Gable is begging and pleading with him, and Pearce is like, just get out of here, Chad. Get out of blah, blah, blah. And then Pearce opens his office door, and Bo Dallas is sitting there.
Yep.
As Bo Dallas.
Yep.
Bro, what?
And you know what else is really interesting? We never cut back to that.
No, we didn't.
So, I mean, there's a lot of speculation that Wyatt Six are controlling Adam Pearce somehow, because as soon as the debut happened the next day, his Twitter account got hacked by the Wyatt Six. It went back to the Postman from the Firefly Funhouse, all that stuff. I don't know what this means, and it's driving me crazy.
I love it.
Because I don't know what's happening. He also said in the video, like, we need to set them free. So does that mean that they're just kind of out on their own now? Like, the people behind the mask are kind of out on their own, going to go, like, run through people? Because I love the line at the end. You think we're sick? Then we will be sick. And it's like, oh, they're going to kill people. Like, they're about to go find, like, Chad Gable is toast at some point. I don't know. It gave us answers week to week, and they've done a great job of it so far, keeping intrigue. Gave us answers and left us with a crap ton more questions.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And on Monday Night Raw, one thing that we've been asking ourselves a whole lot over the last several weeks, we got a big answer to. Mami made her return at the end of Monday Night Raw, confronting Liv and Dominic just when it seemed like after a mixed tag team win that Dominic was about to give in. The music hits, and Liv is running for the hills, and Dom is trying to plead his case, and Mami's not having any of it.
Nope. We kind of speculated tonight was going to be the night she showed up. When that music hit, that place erupted.
Yes, they did.
And so I'm very excited to see she's back. I'm curious. Do you think they do Liv Rhea at SummerSlam?
I think they have to now.
I do too. You think Rhea wins it back?
No.
You think Dom? Cost her?
I think Dom fully. Yep.
I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy right now.
I don't think it's a custody of Dom ladder match.
It needs to be.
I don't.
It needs to be.
Because what I want to see, and they can't do this in a stadium, or maybe they can figure it out. I want to see Dom in a shark cage above the ring during the match.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I know you're not fighting for him at that point. And I don't know how he costs Rhea at that point, but I want to see it.
Yeah. I would rather have Dom on a pole.
Well,
just have him sitting on top of a pole.
All right, Vince Russo.
You wouldn't tell me that wouldn't be interesting. A custody of Dom match. It's Dom sitting on a pole for the world title at the same time.
That would be very interesting. But yes, I do think we get Rhea and Liv, and I think Liv somehow wins. And I don't know what the scenario is after that, because we've talked about, like, Liv is just using Dom to get to Rhea.
Yeah.
Well, now that Rhea's back, Liv might not want anything to do with Dom.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
There's so much that could happen. Finn and Liv could be still in cahoots. Like, I don't know.
How does that play out?
I don't know. Ooh. There's so many different directions that they could go in.
Let me tell you what. There's a lot of different directions they could go in, and we're excited about. Let me tell you what they shouldn't do is show stretching on Monday Night Raw anymore between Liv and Dom. Whoa, buddy.
We had the audio off during that part, like you said, because we were recording, and I want to go back and hear Pat McAfee when they realize what's happening.
Yes.
Because they do such a great job of bringing in Judgment Day at the worst possible times, too. And it's like Priest popped in, and then you just see behind the wall Finn's head and JD's head, and then Carlito comes around the corner. I'm pretty sure he's just going to say, that's cool. Like, it's so stupid. And it's so funny and entertaining every single time.
It's so high school, middle schoolish that it's just...
Yes, and it's so awkward. Like, I'm embarrassed watching it sometimes.
I know.
I'm like, I don't like this. But I do. Like, what is happening right now?
Like, I have to watch. I have to know.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's a soap opera drama that we're watching.
Listen, that's what wrestling is.
Really
It's a
is.
soap opera, men in tights, and the whole 9 yards.
As my mom always said, or my grandmother always said, wrestling is just a train wreck you can't look away from.
And it's very true.
Pretty true.
It's very true. We hope you guys will continue to join us on this train. Andy wanted to do Money in the Bank trivia this week.
Yeah,
There's just
not enough time. Too much happened.
There's just not. But SummerSlam's right around the corner. I
Yep.
think there's a lot more trivia to
Yep.
get to with SummerSlam. We'll try to get to some of that next week. But then again, I say this all the time. The wrestling world's probably going to break in the next week. Ethan Page won the NXT
Joe
Championship.
Hendry is showing up
Joe
randomly.
Hendry's showing up like, hello.
Did you watch the finish of that match?
Yes.
That was one of the most creative finishes I think I've ever seen.
Go back to Backlash 07.
That same way?
Was the inspiration to that.
That's
Yes.
so good.
Go back and watch. Have you ever watched that match? Backlash 07 Fatal 4-Way?
Who was it?
Edge, Orton, Cena, HBK.
Yes. I've seen clips of it. I don't know if I've watched the whole thing.
Watch the whole match. It's the greatest Fatal 4-Way of all time.
Yep.
Nothing beats it. And I'm a Shawn Michaels fan, so I'm biased. Nothing beats it, but the finish is straight out of that. Absolutely. You wonder who's running NXT. So
Yeah.
there's that.
He's just replaying all of his old hits at this point in a lot of ways.
He's the greatest of all time. Why would you not replay the hits? Good grief. Not John Cena, Shawn Michaels. All right. Man, what a loaded show. And it's going to be a loaded show next week.
Yep.
Make sure you're tuned in wherever you find your podcast. And on the YouTube channel, we'll be right here with you next week. For Mr. Andy York, my name is Chris Belcher. This has been another edition of Squared Circle Radio. We will catch you guys down the road.